We got the hits. We got the gist. This is Lagos' #1 lifestyle station, City 1051 FM.
Great stuff. I mean, so first off, for you, how did you make the cross from TV shows to film?
Film had always been the medium that I wanted to work in.
Right.
But TV offered the opportunity first.
Right.
Because at the time I moved back here, TV was massive. So we had
moved back here from where?
From Canada.
Okay.
Yes.
How long were you there for?
I just went to study television and film.
Oh, right, got that. Okay.
But I was in Nigeria. But I didn't live in Lagos. I'm from Port Harcourt.
Right.
Or I lived in Port Harcourt. So traveled to Canada, got back to Nigeria. So when I got back, TV was massive. So we had massive franchises,
right.
massive game shows, massive reality shows, and then the expertise were not a lot. And so there were more opportunities to work in television than there were in film. But film had always been my first love.
Wow, that's very interesting. Yeah. How do you feel sometimes when maybe the success stories of some things that you have been involved with are told, and maybe your name is for some weird reason omitted?
I'm not worried about it. I used to be, but I'm not worried about it. The truth is that nobody can take away your experiences and
right.
your knowledge that you've garnered all throughout the years. I've worked on a lot of projects. I remember somebody wanted me to send a CV to them.
Right.
And then I obliged, and then the woman calls me and says it's a lie.
Wow.
Because it was almost like 6 pages thick of things. I've forgotten some things I've worked on, unless somebody reminds me and say, hey, we worked on that project. Because at the time I came back, there were a lot of shows, but there were not a lot of people to work on those projects.
Right.
So there was a constant demand on us to work on. So we worked on so many projects, reality shows, commercials, series, short films. It was an amazing time.
Wow. Now you're someone who talks a lot about your mental health on social media.
Yes.
Is that intentional for you? Some people would say maybe a good way to get therapy, quote unquote, is by talking about these things. And if you cannot afford an actual therapy session, maybe just venting somehow is a good way to go about it. Is that the case for you?
I don't think that's the case for me. For me, mostly it's more about inclusiveness.
Right.
My social media, and that's why all my people are called cousins, because we're more like
we're all cousins. We're all cousins on Twitter.
Because it's more like being in a family. And the truth is that the people on Twitter have helped me with my depression. There are moments where I feel very low, and I just go on there and people. So it's a support system that we have on there. And so sometimes sharing your problems is just to let the other person know that you can also do it,
right.
despite going through it. Because you'll be shocked how many people are depressed in this country, how many young people are frustrated and suicidal. There are several times that I've had to talk people out of killing themselves.
Wow.
Several times on Twitter. I cannot count. Several times I've had to talk people out from killing themselves. And we trivialize those things here. Because everybody
Why do you think we do that? Why do you think we sometimes just say, don't worry, you're just sad, Joe. By the time somebody sends you money now, you'll be fine.
I don't know if it's cultural for us, but we don't like facing our problems. We like sweeping it under the carpet. We like trying to make ourselves happy, cheer ourselves up. We don't face our problems. And that is why our problems linger in our country. So every time you say you're depressed, people think it's a weakness. Or that you're not praying enough. You're not going to mosque enough. You're not doing good things enough. You're not rich enough. You're not having enough sex. You're not drinking enough alcohol. So it's just ridiculous suggestions. But the truth is that if you're ambitious, you'll be frustrated. When you try to move that you realize you've been chained. But if you're satisfied with a mediocre existence, you'll never notice that there's another level that you should aspire to. And so a lot of the depression, there are several things that can cause depression, several things. And so I'm not going to want to talk about that because I'm not a...
So let's take it from your actual experience as a creative person.
Yeah.
I also find that there are many people who are in the creative industry, and maybe it's because they're in the creative industry, we hear about them in the media, and they are talking about how they are depressed, etc.
Yeah.
Do you think that creative people have the tendency to be depressed than any other quote-unquote person?
Different professions would make you depressed.
Right.
I hear dentists are also quite depressed as well. But creatives are overly depressed.
Why is that?
It's the burden of dreams. It's the burden of dreams, the frustration of not achieving your dreams, or the communication, the frustration of communicating your ideas. filmmakers, for instance, I'm going to talk about those ones because I know about those ones, are like prophets. And sometimes trying to save people from themselves can be frustrating. So we have that problem. You have this amazing dream that you're trying to bring to life. You're trying to make tangible. So it's almost like you're coming from a supernatural to just be a human. And that transition is frustrating. So it's the burden of dreams which really frustrates us.
You don't think that in some way, looking at the expectations that people have of you as a creative person versus what the reality is outside these shows, so does that contribute to it as well?
Yes. I mean, we are dreamers. A creative person is a dreamer. And so living in a country where we're more pragmatic culturally is hard. Like prior to this time that we're in, if you had said to your parents, I want to be a filmmaker, everybody thought you were crazy.
Right.
There's something wrong with you. So you're coming at a disadvantage already. You're looked at as the black sheep of the family, as the loser. Until you get to that point, that apex, and then when everybody sits back and say, oh, look at that, the person made it. Even at that, it never ends. It's the constant badgering by everything, all the process, the critics, the viewers, the distribution, raising finance for your film, trying to make the perfect film, trying to make sure the perfect film is seen. It is multi-layered. It is multi-layered. But generally, it is hard for people to understand creatives, especially if you're unevenly hooked with somebody that doesn't understand where you are. So you're married or you're dating somebody that doesn't kind of figure you out.
Right.
And then they're always trying to bring you out from where you are to a more pragmatic world where you don't want to exist. Because you see, you need to be in a certain mindset to be able to create.
Right. True.
So you cannot be, you have to be a bit
Tell
dysfunctional.
me about it.
Including actors. For you to be one of the best actors in the world, you have to lose yourself. And to lose yourself, you have to be a bit dysfunctional. That's why some of the best actors, best directors are a bit dysfunctional because they need that to be able to create. Except you lose yourself, you can never find what you're looking for.
So people have talked about how we are in a time where there is a lot of focus on depression, mental health, and it almost, I'm not sure what the stats are, to be honest, but it seems as if we are maybe recording even more suicides now than before. So what is going on?
It's people try to bully you out of depression, and that's the number one problem. So kids bottle it up. Kids cannot speak to people. We cannot speak to people about how we feel because people think it's a weakness. For instance, I remember one time I posted that I was depressed and somebody said, I need to go to church. I said, to be fair, I've been a Christian for a long time, and even Jesus was depressed at the point where he was about to be crucified. You know, so we try to bully people out of depression, but what depressed people need is empathy, not sympathy.
Right.
To listen to what they're trying to tell you and try and understand what they're trying to tell you. Parents frustrate their kids a lot. A lot of people have contacted me and are really rich. A lot of them are middle class rich kids whose parents have frustrated them and they want to kill themselves because we are still not used to dealing with these issues. We don't pay attention. Our parents don't pay attention. A lot of times in our society, some parents feel if they pay their fees and pay for the kids,
everything is fine.
Everything is fine. The child is fine. The child should be doing well. Why are you not doing well? Why are your mates are doing that? And all that pressure, undue pressure.
So do you think that maybe talking about anxiety, depression, etc. more now is also somewhat counterproductive? Because if we didn't talk about it so much before, and we're talking about it a lot now, but the suicides seem to be increasing their numbers, should we maybe look for a different approach to dealing with it?
I think this is the right thing to do to talk about it.
Okay.
What is happening now is that we're now documenting what is happening.
Right.
People used to commit suicides back in the 80s, 70s, 60s. But it wasn't really documented, so we didn't have one space where all that stats were.
Yeah.
So somebody lives in Zamfara or Kaduna, killed himself in the 60s. You don't get to hear that news because you lived in Cross River State or you lived in Lagos.
Right.
But now we have a social media where everything can be documented. You can see what's happening in real time to people. So I think that speaking about it is very helpful.
Okay.
It's very helpful because just realizing that somebody else is going through what you're going through
Mm-hmm.
makes you feel less alone, and you know that you can get help. And luckily for us, there are also a lot of people on social media who are professionals and can offer help. We have organizations and NGOs that are doing a lot of those things now. That's why sometimes when people come to me after we speak for a while, I refer you. I say, "Yo,
Right.
I'm just a film director. Speak to
Right.
speak to a real professional." And then a lot of people have gotten help. A lot of people have gotten help. So I think speaking about it does also help. And some parents have changed a bit
Right.
their approach to the way they see their children, they see their kids.
Let me take you back to a point you made with regards to creative people being slightly dysfunctional.
Yes.
When you look when you say that, I'm thinking, okay, so for people who are in the creative industry, does that mean that this is some kind of cycle?
We got the hits. We got the gist. This is Lagos' #1 lifestyle station. City 1051 FM.
Also have to develop a thick skin to it because it's gonna come. There's gonna be people that are just gonna attack you, and sometimes even personal. You know, attack how you dress, how you look. You're fat, you're slim. Look at what you're wearing. Oh my God, this is horrible. I kill my. So you have to. You have to know that it's part of the game, and you also. But if it's really serious, if it's really getting at you, you have to get help for it. But relationships also can help you a lot.
Okay.
With your process. I mean, be in relationships with people who understand who you are and know when to give you some space and know when not to pressure you into doing things that you don't want to do. People that understand you.
So beyond relationships, I mean, just talk to someone right now who is going through something, maybe a creative, some actor who hasn't gotten their big break just yet and they're depressed about it, some singer who hasn't gotten any major hits just yet or has one hit and is waiting on the next one to happen, a writer who is having a major writer's block and is feeling really depressed about it. Literally every person that you can identify in the creative industry who is going through that phase right now. Is it ever going to end, or do you just have to manage it?
As far as the world exists, there will be hurt, there will be pain, it's just how you deal with it is what changes that situation. People will always break your heart. My mother used to tell me, people will always break your heart, but keep loving them anyway. Because we're humans, and so we're prone to fail at some point. But it's how you react to the situation. For people who are waiting for the big break, you just need the one break. You waited 15 years, you need one break. But walk while you wait.
Okay.
Your waiting period is not the time where you just lounge. It's the time where you create, where you think about ideas. I'm basically, for me, some of the films I'm shooting now, I developed it 6, 7, 10 years ago.
Right.
The basic ideas for it, like Lagos Sales and Traffic, was probably 10 years ago.
Right.
The Coffin Salesman, probably 5 years ago. Because all that period where you're waiting for something to happen, you just develop your ideas.
Right.
And so when the opportunity comes, you're prepared for it.
Great.
Some of the biggest names that we've heard in film and television and everything within a long time. Samuel L. Jackson got to the point where he was about to leave Hollywood, and then he got his break on Coming to America, where he was a guy in the bar that knocked somebody out. There's so many directors that made their big films in their 40s, so you just have to hang on, keep doing.
Don't stop. That's the key.
Keep doing. Take your camera phone, take a little camera, and go get your friends together, shoot something, write something, be persistent with the thing. You're gonna get a lot of no's. No, this is horrible. I'll never do that. I remember when I shot my first pilot, it was called One for the Road.
Right.
And then I remember pitching it to somebody, and the guy told me, "Yo, this is really horrible. I don't think that."
You guys need to watch your tongue.
I think we can fund it.
Jeez.
But the guy, I remember when I was doing a project for MTV.
Yeah.
He worked with me.
Wow.
Yes, he supplied some of our equipment that we used for that project.
Small
I
world.
gave him the project.
You're nice.
But that is life, So
Yeah.
Also, he was the one that owned. It was the only one that had the equipment at that point, so I gave him the contract. But it was good. It was a good feeling to be able to sit on this other side.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time on this show, Imoh. 20 minutes of really serious conversation happening right here on your breakfast in the city. What's your best kind of music?
Rap music.
So it's Way Back Wednesday today. We're playing songs from back in the day. Whose song should I hook up for you right now?
All right, Ahmad, back in the day. Since you played back in the day.
Who's that?
Do you have that? Ahmad. It's called Back in the Day.
You know how they take you way back and it's like, wait, what era are we going to now?
Back in the day when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore.
Okay. Let's see if I got that one. You're already singing the song anyway, so should I stress?
Or should I give you another one?
I'm listening. Oh, we have. Ooh.
Yeah,
look at our very, very exhaustive way back library. What? Okay. Ahmad back in the day. Special request for Umoren, my guest on the show this morning.
Thank you very much.
You have been phenomenal. Thank you for sharing with us today. You guys look out for his brand new movie that will hit your screens pretty soon.
Yes.
Lagos.
Sex, Lies, and Traffic.
Yes. You guys. He's good at what he does. And make sure that you also hook up with him on Twitter. He is our cousin. We're Twitter cousins at Umoren, IMOHUMOREN. Stay with the city. It's exactly 9:56.
We got the hits. We got the gist. This is Lagos #1 lifestyle station. City 1051 FM.